Welcome to the Haunted Hour. Love hurts, but tonight it kills. These are 3 Valentine's Day horror stories where love turns to terror. Are you ready? Story 1, A Valentine's Day Murder. Have you ever wondered how quickly a perfect evening can turn into your worst nightmare? 1 second, you're surrounded by soft laughter, candlelight, and the person you love. The next, you're gasping for breath in the dark, realizing you're not alone. It was February 14th, 2023. The Velvet Rose, an upscale restaurant nestled in the heart of Chicago, had a reputation for creating unforgettable moments. Romantic, elegant, everything was perfect on the surface. I had made the reservation weeks in advance, planning the night to surprise my partner, Emma. We arrived just after 7:30 p.m., stepping into a sea of low candlelight and soft piano music. But from the moment we sat down, something felt wrong. The waiter's hand shook as he poured our wine. A man in the far corner kept glancing toward the door, his jaw clenched like he was waiting for something or someone. The air felt heavy, thick with more than just perfume and cooking spices. It felt like the room itself was holding its breath. Halfway through the main course, an abrupt crash shattered the illusion of calm. Dishes clattering to the ground in the kitchen. Conversations died mid-sentence, forks frozen in midair. And then, as if nothing had happened, the sound of forced laughter resumed. Emma's phone buzzed on the table. One message. No contact name. Do you think you'll both make it out? I swallowed hard, scanning the room again. The man in the corner was gone, his chair now empty, still warm from where he had been sitting. The same trembling waiter approached, but this time his smile didn't reach his eyes. As he cleared our plates, he slipped a folded napkin onto the table without saying a word. When I unfolded it, my stomach turned to ice. Don't look behind you. Of course, instinct took over. I turned and found myself staring at the reflection of a figure in the restaurant's glass window behind us. A silhouette, unmoving, watching. I grabbed Emma's hand, ready to leave, but the entrance doors were locked from the outside. Then the lights cut out. Total darkness. In the pitch black, whispers filled the room, too many voices to count. A sudden, sharp scream echoed through the space, chillingly close. The air smelled of iron, thick and metallic. When the lights flickered back on, Emma was gone. Only a single, crimson-stained note sat where she had been. Some love stories end in silence. The police arrived minutes later. No one had seen anyone leave. No cameras caught anything unusual. Every trace of the intruder had vanished, as if they were never there at all. But the nightmare didn't end there. Weeks later, I received an anonymous package on my doorstep. Inside was a velvet box, the same one I planned to give Emma that night, with the engagement ring still inside. And next to it, a photo. Emma, sitting at a table in the Velvet Rose. Only this time, she wasn't alone. A shadowy figure sat across from her, their hand resting gently over hers. That Valentine's Day wasn't about love or romance. It was a reminder that some nightmares don't end when the night is over. Sometimes they follow you home. Story 2. Valentine's Day is supposed to be about love, right? But what if the person who loves you the most loves you in all the wrong ways? I thought I knew what fear was until February 14th, 2023. That's the night I realized some hearts don't break. They shatter into something much, much darker. I wasn't planning anything special that night. Just another Valentine's Day alone in my small apartment in Cleveland, Ohio. I had just gotten out of a rough relationship, and honestly, I was fine with staying in. Pizza, a cheesy horror movie, and maybe a glass of wine. Simple, quiet. At least, that was the plan. It was around 7:45 p.m. when I first noticed something strange. I heard a soft knock on my front door. I wasn't expecting anyone. No delivery, no friends dropping by. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. Just the dim hallway light flickering overhead. I stood there for a second, waiting, heart thudding in my chest. Then I saw it. A small red envelope on the floor slipped under my door. No return address, just my name written in shaky, messy handwriting. I opened it. Inside was a single note. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm outside and I see you. I felt a cold wave of dread. My blinds were open. I rushed to the window, staring out into the parking lot. At first, nothing. Just the wind rattling through the trees. But then I saw him. A man, standing perfectly still by the street lamp. He wasn't doing anything, just watching. His face was hidden in the shadows, but I could feel it. His eyes were locked on me. I grabbed my phone and called the police. "Stay inside," the operator said. "We'll send someone over." I tried to calm myself, double-checking all the locks on my doors and windows. Minutes crawled by like hours. Then came the second knock. Louder, faster. This time, I didn't look through the peephole. I didn't want to know if he was still there. The doorbell rang once, twice. Silence. I backed away, trying to convince myself that help was coming. Then I heard it, the closet door creaking open behind me. My blood turned ice cold. He wasn't outside anymore. He was inside my apartment. I ran for the front door, fumbling with the lock, but it was too late. A hand clamped over my mouth. Whispers in my ear. I knew we'd be together tonight. I fought, clawed, tried to scream, but he was strong. His breath was hot against my neck. Then sirens. The flashing red and blue lights cut through the darkness like salvation. The police found me trembling in the hallway. They searched every inch of my apartment, and they found him, crammed inside the closet. His pockets were full of photographs of me, sleeping, eating, leaving for work. Some of the photos were taken inside my apartment. They told me he had been stalking me for weeks, watching, waiting, planning our special night. It's been a year since that night, but I still can't sleep with the lights off. Every Valentine's Day, I get a single red envelope slipped under my door. No return address, no note inside, just my name written in the same shaky handwriting. And every time I wonder, is he back? Or was someone else watching all along? Sometimes love doesn't die. It waits patiently right outside your door. Story 3. Have you ever felt completely alone in a crowded room? Like every pair of eyes is watching you, but no one sees the danger creeping closer? That's what happened to me. And it all began on Valentine's night. It was February 14th, 2023. I was supposed to meet my date at La Belle Noire, this fancy little restaurant tucked away downtown. Dim lighting, red velvet chairs, soft jazz playing in the background. The kind of place that screams romance. But she never showed up. I waited for almost an hour, nursing a glass of wine, telling myself she was just running late. Then, I noticed something weird. Every time I glanced toward the corner booth near the kitchen, there was a man sitting alone, staring directly at me. No food, no drink, just watching. At first, I tried to ignore him, brushing it off as paranoia. But then the waiter came by, pale and shaky, whispering that he hadn't seated anyone at that booth all night. I turned back to look. The booth was empty. Chills ran down my spine, but I tried to stay calm. Maybe the waiter was mistaken. Maybe I just imagined it. That's when I got the first text. Unknown number. Why are you alone on Valentine's? I froze. No one knew I was here, except my date. I texted her, but no reply. The waiter offered to check if my date had called, so I took the opportunity to head to the restroom and clear my head. But as I walked through the narrow hallway, I heard soft footsteps behind me. I spun around. No one. The hallway lights flickered and my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I see you. My breath hitched. The restroom door was locked. The footsteps? They were closer now. I bolted back into the dining room. The romantic atmosphere had turned suffocating. Every shadow stretching too long. Every face suddenly unfamiliar. I asked for the check, but the waiter had disappeared. Then came the sound of glass shattering in the kitchen. A single, sharp crash that silenced the entire restaurant. The lights went out. In the dark, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You can't leave. Using a flashlight on my phone, I stumbled toward the exit, but the door wouldn't budge. Suddenly, the man from the booth was there, standing inches from my face, eyes hollow, a chilling smile stretching across his pale skin. Then everything went black. I woke up in a hospital the next day. They told me the restaurant had been empty when I was found, unconscious and alone. But here's what haunts me. The police found my phone on the table, and on it, a photo of me sitting alone in that booth. But I wasn't holding the camera. Sometimes Valentine's Day isn't about love. Sometimes it's about the ones who watch us when we think we're alone. And some dates never end. The shadows are growing, and the horrors are just beginning. If you think this was terrifying, you haven't seen anything yet. More nightmares await, lurking in the dark corners of the haunted hour. Subscribe now, before the darkness takes you too. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because the next story might just find you first. See you in the dark.